we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you could like, share, subscribe, please subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Pop Culture Cosmos, PCC Multiverse, latest interview, tabletop RPG action, and so much more. Go ahead right away and subscribe there. Plus, also the great places that we have and that we own and that we take care of, including Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, where we have the latest news and trends right there for you each and every day at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. Our great folks that we know at Vampires and Vitae, season 3 is around the corner, and you got to be a part of it today by checking out all the great episodes on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, plus also Wizards and Wine and everything that we do to support you out there. And if you can do all that, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend, and it is a good friend indeed when you ask her, can you please help me out by doing and recording 2 shows back to back? Good friend indeed. You got to go ahead and check out what she's doing today, not only on the Pop Culture Cosmos on YouTube with her amazing shows, Vason, tabletop RPG action there, plus also the Forgotten Lands, and also what she does for Vampires and Vitae and Wizards and Wine. It is my good friend. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross. And Melinda, I don't know if I'm going to loop this or how am I going to do that? I think I'm just going to go ahead and go straight continuously 2 hours.
Might as well.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready, my friend?
I'm so ready. Let's do this.
By the end of the 2 hours, you will probably throw up pop culture.
well, I hope that that's not the outcome. Yeah, but I am looking forward to total destruction and devastation and exhaustion by the time we're done.
Okay, sounds good. I used to call it. We used to call it back in the 80s. At least I thought we did. Blowing donuts, blowing some chunks. He's throwing up. He's hurling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, terrible. But it is a loaded PCC multiverses because these episodes will appear out there for everyone in successive weeks. So looking forward to go ahead and dropping them. We're going to be talking about a lot of good things. First off, we're going to be talking about the Memorial Day weekend matchup and also as well with Star Trek going on. The next week, we're going to be talking about, among other things, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and a Diablo 4 super special.
Woo!
So that will come on PCC Multiverse 331, but right now it's PCC Multiverse 330. We're not there yet, but it is Memorial Day weekend when this drops, and everybody's going to be so excited to see what's going on with the movies. And I don't know, Melinda, Memorial Day weekend used to be a lot bigger for the box office. It used to be a lot more contested with, everybody bringing out the big guns. Disney still thinks they can go ahead and take this off, and I think they will with The Little Mermaid because it's getting, despite the initial controversy with the lead, I think she has an outstanding voice, and I think it's going to be fantastic. Melissa McCarthy will probably get more praise for her role than anything she's done in the past 15 years. I mean, my gosh, everybody's been talking a buzz about her role as the evil
Ursula.
spirit. Yes, Ursula in this movie. Your thoughts on this? I mean, there's some other contenders which we'll go into briefly, but I think it all starts on Memorial Day weekend with The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet for I honestly I think it's probably going to be the top movie at the box office for that weekend. These live action movies are always risky because it's a property that people love and have an incredibly emotional connection with in most cases. So when you take stuff like this and you go ahead and you make the live remake, people really do get concerned that their favorite thing is not going to live up to their expectations or to their standards. But the stuff that I'm seeing for this film, everything looks positive. The only catch is Sebastian, and I'm not really sure what the catch is, but anything,
Under the
yeah, anything
sea,
I'm seeing that's
under the
negative
sea.
is surrounding Sebastian. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but that's
Ow!
that's what I've been hearing.
I just clawed my own nose.
Yeah, yes, careful, careful.
Absolutely. I could have done that. I wish there is. Disney's got to call me. You talk about you doing your voiceovers, all that. I
Yeah,
think I could do some voices and I could do some singing too. Under the sea. All right.
sold.
Anyways,
Yeah,
sold.
sold.
I know. I was even my best shot. But I will say though that the Little Mermaid, I think, is going to do well. I think, despite the initial brushback against Halle Berry or Haley Berry or Halle Berry. How do I
Hey,
pronounce it?
Haley, I believe.
Haley Berry. Okay, because if you say Halle Berry, that's a different Halle Berry
It's
altogether.
yes,
So
yes.
yes, but I will say with Haley Berry, I think it just, from what I've seen in the clips, she's outstanding, and I really hope that this will provide a launch pad for her successful career. And I really think that sometimes we moan and groan, and sometimes we say yay and scream hooray over Disney when they do their live action remakes of animated features. Sometimes it's a big hit, sometimes it's a big miss. I really think this is going to be a big hit for Disney.
I think so too, and I think that once the movie is out and people have watched it, I think that any concerns will prove to be much ado about nothing. So that's where I'm at with that.
One of the things, though, I will say before we go ahead and move on to the other movies is, yes, Melissa McCarthy. I really think that her performance, the buzz I'm already hearing, I don't know if it's actually going to come out to fruition, because you hear this stuff come sometimes. It's like, oh, it's the greatest thing to sliced bread. And then comes out, people are just like, it's okay. Or, it's not so okay.
Yeah.
I think, though, the buzz for her performance could be the best thing she's done since Bridesmaids.
Yeah, everything that I've seen, I watched, I wanna say it was on TikTok, but I could be wrong, and it was her, arriving at, the makeup trailer and getting into her Ursula makeup,
Mhm.
and, it looks so good, and I I always enjoyed Ursula, but with Melissa McCarthy's Ursula, I think I'm going to enjoy a little bit too much. It may make me wanna be a sea witch.
Mm. There's just a joke in there. I, I don't know if I should touch it or say it. I really want to.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's like this.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I really want to
Yeah.
go and say, I will go ahead, repeat those same lines to your husband, and I will see if you're still married after next week. So
Okay,
we'll
fair
see
enough.
what happens there. Absolutely. But it is The Little Mermaid. You're going to go ahead and check it out, especially fact that, family friendly movies. It looks like it'll be the first big one since the Super Mario Brothers movie. So looking forward to hearing the feedback on that. Also that weekend though, you've got About My Father, which, in the back and forth career, I guess the late stages of his career, Robert De Niro, you see the fact that he plays in these goofy comedies, trying to recreate his performance with Ben Stiller, as you remember from those movies, and Meet the Parents and all that. About My Father, obviously trying to go ahead and recreate some of that with this comedy. I'm not sure it's going to get it done. You have The Machine, which is also a comedy that's coming out. The lead is pretty much unknown, but with Mark Hamill right behind him as far as playing a character not related to what he's done in Star Wars. The actual advanced word is that it's actually pretty funny. So we'll go ahead and see how that does well and see if that gets a swell of support. Then you have You Hurt My Feelings and Kandahar. And it just seems, though, that any of these releases are not going to get the kind of buzz that will provide little to no competition against The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I think possibly what was happening over the Memorial Day weekend box office is people just got tired of putting these massive movies up against other massive movies, and having a movie that debuts at number 2 behind another mega budget movie is still a loss to a lot of these studios. So I'm not
Yeah.
surprised to see that they've kind of abandoned the date around Memorial Day as a big movie release.
Kandahar is the latest Gerard Butler, not yet straight to video, but looking like it's going to be headed straight to video movie. And then You Hurt My Feelings. That's something that could be as far as a romantic drama slash comedy with Julie Louis Dreyfus. Maybe something that could hit. You never know. It is A24 on that one, so we'll see what happens. I mean, they are trying to go ahead and now recreate the magic that they had with Everything Everywhere All at Once. So we'll see what happens. But I think any of those movies matched up against The Little Mermaid will fall quite a bit short. I think actually you'll probably see any residual effects from Fast X, which actually is doing okay in its initial run. So we'll see what happens. But it is The Little Mermaid, and the movie's coming out in Memorial Day weekend. Are you going to go ahead out on Memorial Day weekend and check out some great movies? Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, there's still quite a bit to talk about on today's program, and I wanted to set a nice block of time for you as a Star Trek fan to talk about this. And that I don't think you even realize that until I sent it out, which is kind of scary. That Star Trek Resurgence is out this week on Memorial Day week, and I wanted to ask your opinions on it because it is I've seen one trailer on it. It looked okay, but it's not a top tier, high end development studio working on it. So it will probably come out similar to what we're seeing with the Lord of the Rings Gollum. It'll come out with a little bit of buzz and then just drift away into video game nothingness. I will probably seek out and play it when it goes discounted because of the fact it's a Star Trek game, which I've always clamored for, that I'm hoping I could have one that I can interact with what's really good that works in a console form. I understand there's been some PC ventures over the years, and there has been a couple entries as far as IPs, from the Star Trek universe that have tried to make it on a console platform, but nothing has really stuck the landing, or excuse me, nothing was really energized
Ha, there
into
it
the
is.
landing.
There
So
it
I
is.
want to hear your thoughts as you're the resident Star Trek fan here more than I am. Although I don't know, after the fact that I've seen a little bit more Star Trek recently, kind of makes me wonder. But all right, we'll go ahead and give it to you. Your thoughts, though, this also leads into a bigger question on the movies. But I'll start with the video games first. Do you think Star Trek or somebody will go ahead and provide the fans out there, gamers out there, a triple A Star Trek video game?
I don't think it's going to happen until there is somebody at the helm or the very top or the top 3 people um, are in a position where they truly love Star Trek and they truly love the Star Trek lore and they truly love the Star Trek stories. And until that happens and they find a way to make flying around in a ship super fun for extended periods of time, I think that the video games are going to continue to be lukewarm. And that really is, in some situations, being a little bit generous with the Star Trek video games. I look at it a lot differently than I look at Star Trek movies or Star Trek TV. In those situations, bad Trek is better than no Trek. But when it comes to video games, I don't know. I just don't know that that's necessary unless you're going to get it absolutely right and absolutely knock it out of the park. And I just don't know how you bring like a monster of the week kind of scenario into a video game.
Well, again, I think that you are in the right direction as far as the studio having the love for Star Trek and being able to go ahead and do that. But I think it also takes Paramount. I think it takes Paramount actually saying, you know what, we want someone to do it. We want someone to put the money behind it. We want somebody to go ahead, even if we have to help you out with it. We want to actually have our own Hogwarts legacy. And I talked about this recently with TJ Johnson in regards to Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings, the Gollum is going to come out, and that's already been delayed already a couple times. And I really think with just the way the fact that how many people are actually going to be interested in actually moving Gollum around. How many people are actually going to be gravitating towards that game? I don't think a whole lot of people are. So I think it's the fact that it's going to come out here in at around the time that we're talking about this, and it's just going to come out to pretty much nothingness as well. Star Trek might have a little bit of a hit with Star Trek fans, but then again I don't see a massive windfall of advertising on this game either. In fact, like I said, I had to remind you that it was
Yeah.
because you're so focused on Diablo, you can't see
I've
anything beyond that right
yeah,
now.
I've Diablo
Even
blinders on, honestly.
exactly. So even when something like Star Trek comes around, you can't even see it because it hasn't been advertised. So
Mhm.
I really think that the first thing it's got to take is it's got to take Paramount. It's got to take and I think the answers to both this question and the next question I have is going to lead all back to Paramount wanting to go ahead and put something triple A out there when it comes to the video games. And I think it already sets itself up for a possibly a great opportunity to do so. No, you don't have your single man ship that you could go ahead and interact by yourself. It is more like a shared, or you have to control, or you have to go ahead and give the commands for the ship as a whole to go ahead and do. They don't have like a ship to ship thing where it's going on like you see in Star Wars or anything like that. I think that's a
Mhm.
disadvantage they have, but you can still have fun as far as that, as far as during in space. But obviously the thing that where you could beat Star Wars or anything else out there is the infinite number of planets that you've created for the Star Trek universe, and the fact that you could have LAN parties go down to different themes, so many different things that you've created in this universe as far as planets. I mean, the ideas are almost taken from every movie and taken from every TV show and every series. You could have hundreds and hundreds of planets that you've already can go ahead and build worlds off of.
Yeah, I suppose. You could you play Star Trek like Sims? Like that kind of a situation?
I, I wouldn't be into it personally. I would
Yeah,
be more into it again if you were to go ahead into it like a almost like an Elder Scrolls RPG, like Starfield is going to go ahead
right.
and bring it to, as far as you being part of maybe a group, a mission where you start out as a red shirt and you go down to certain lands, you try to build yourself up and build your rank up and go forth, and as you go ahead through adventures and not get yourself killed, you move up until you get to the role of captain. Then you could go ahead and lead your own enterprise adventures, or you start off with, one of the smaller ships or lesser known ships or starters, that ships that are no longer in existence, like Botany, the SS Botany Bay. You start off with that, or you start off with ships that, and then leads you into getting a promotion into the enterprise. You can work your way into that, and that could be a level progression that you don't see out of every game. That there's an existing line for Star Trek fans that they would believe in, that could get them to a point where you could grind and grind and grind and have hundreds of hours of gameplay before you get to ultimately where you want to go.
Right, so you could almost set it up like it's the NHL games where you start in, like, the junior leagues and
And
you
NBA too, yeah.
yeah, you develop your player and then you, get
You start
drafted
out
into
at
the NHL.
Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, and you graduate and then I don't know, don't get
Yeah,
drafted to a ship, but you get commissioned to a ship.
Cadet Barkhouse Ross.
Yeah, I you know what? We need to write an email.
There you go. I mean, you start off again with the red shirt. Start as a red shirt. You go and start taking care of missions, and as long as you don't get yourself killed, you get promoted. You get promoted. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go engineering? Do you want to go security? Do you want to go navigation? Do you ultimately, it all roads will lead to you becoming a captain. And then once you become captain, of course, you can go ahead and the adventures are even more expounded upon as far as where you go. To me, I think it's a no-brainer. To me, I think it's something that you could create. And I think that 5 years ago, had I said that, I think you would have just told me I'm smoking something that's really strong. But after the success of Strange New Worlds, season three of Picard's,
Yep,
you notice I didn't say season one and two, the
I
season three of
noticed.
Picard,
I noticed.
and and to an extent the up and down Discovery 5 years, 5 seasons that they're going
Yeah.
to have in there. I really think that there is a place and that there is a atmosphere where you could create that kind of good gaming for someone out there in the Star Trek universe. I think that just the game like Star Trek Resurgence, I have not played. I've seen it. Just seems like it's going to be basic. It's going to be stuff that you've seen and done before in a Star Trek video game. I've played a couple and they've been okay, but they haven't had the kind of dollars and the kind of amount necessary to go ahead and flesh it out into something a much more as far as a large high scale adventure.
Yeah, this could also be something that works very well in virtual reality too. I could see Star Trek taking off
Yeah.
in
If
that
only
direction.
anybody bought virtual reality.
Yeah, if only.
If only. How Hey Sony, how's those PSVR 2 sales going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe make a Star Trek game.
Maybe. Well, I thought they did as far as the command. I think they did. I
Yeah, but
think
not our game, Gerald.
okay, well, our game is going to be a
Not
little
our
bit more
game.
advanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was just a basic. You were sitting at the command from. Yeah, you're right. You're sitting at the chair and you just give commands left. That wasn't. It
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, that's not really the involvement I was hoping for. That would be just one part of what you would do in this, as far as create out there. But again, I'm hoping that one day that there will be a AAA Star Trek video game, because I think that it is really necessary to have that out there for just the fact that I think that the Star Trek property, even after all these decades, I still think it doesn't have the level of respect that I feel it deserves, or it needs.
Yeah, I'm pretty like at one time I think it absolutely did have that, but then things go sideways and um all it takes is one or two bad turns and it can kind of divorce you from the fans who have supported you for so long, and I think that we've seen Star Trek mishandled for so long that just with the last couple of years with Picard and Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, that Star Trek is beginning again to become a piece of the sci-fi conversation, and in a serious way, not in a Star Trek kind of way.
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
I can see
Uh,
us in the board.
that was supposed to be a Star Trek, but it came out as one. So
Well, again, I don't think that Paramount's going to get too heavily involved anytime soon, because of how much money that they lost in their recent quarter as far as with Paramount Plus and all the stuff that they're doing. But, if it's something where we saw Warner Brothers have some on and off success, they've had success with Hogwarts Legacy. They've had success in the past with, as TJ reminded me, Shadows of Mordor, which kind of leans into the Lord of the Rings mythology, and it is somewhat related to the Lord of the Rings, even though it's not I guess you could say it's like a half true version of Lord of the Rings, depending on who you speak to and who you
right.
talk to on it, because it deals a little bit with Mordor, of course, but and obviously with the first one was such a critical hit, and it's such a, it was a pretty good seller for Warner Brothers. So they've had hits and misses with their properties on that. I just think that if Paramount ever decides to go ahead and venture into it, and they get the right studio behind it, I think they could do something well with it.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think that um, you need those top two or three people who really do believe in the project and are really passionate about the universe before they can convince other people to buy into it. And I think that that's partially the problem.
So that leads me into part two of the Star Trek question.
Uh-huh.
Because we always talk about the TV shows, and we
Yes.
always talk about how we would love to see Star Trek back onto the big screen. I think it deserves another shot at the big screen.
Right.
I love the Kelvin cast. I absolutely think they are awesome. They work well with each other. They click. They feel like a modern version of the characters we have grown to love. I think I really enjoyed. I don't know if you can get all of them back now. When Paramount, what, last year, just hey, it's coming out the end of 2023, and all the stars were like, huh?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
News to us. So, and then I kind of got shelved right after because the director went to go ahead and left to go ahead to direct, I think, the upcoming X-Men movie, or Fantastic Four. I'm sorry, Fantastic Four. So I ask you, Melinda Barkhouse Ross,
Yeah.
aka supposedly a bigger Star Trek fan than I am. So I ask you, actually, well, you've actually garnered up in Star Trek garb and I haven't. So I guess that means you won up on me. But be that as it may, I think the big key, it's gonna be great if they have a awesome selling video game. That'd be awesome if they did. But I think the big key is that Star Trek will never be thought of by the general public in that realm as Star Wars and some other those properties until it has a $1 billion plus movie. It's had, even though the most one of the most played movies of this century, which is the Star Trek reboot, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboot, which has been played everywhere and been played so many times, and it's considered really a good movie. And it is. It's my second favorite all-time Star Trek movie, and it is really good. It still has did not gross. It grossed, I think, about $400 to $500 million worldwide at the box office. They never really had a really over the top successful box office film, and I want to ask your thoughts. I think that's the missing piece. I think that's the missing piece of the Star Trek universe, and until that gets done, Star Trek will always have that just that missing something special.
Yeah, it could just be that Star Trek works better on the small screen. As much as we have the ambition to see a really fantastic Trek movie that brings in that $1 billion price tag and all of that stuff, it could just be that a
Are
Trek
you?
is best on the small screen.
I know it started and emanated on the small screen, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's space, it's planets, it's spaceships. I mean, even saw with Picard season 3, and you saw, all the showdown with all the Borg controlling the Starfleet, that part of it. The spoilers out there and all that going on as
But
far
yeah,
as
by the way.
the starships and
Yeah.
all that you saw. That seems to me like it would have been much better presented on an IMAX theater, like something and they actually did. They actually showed it to limited theaters across the country. But I'm just talking about that they should, from the get go, have something out there and try once again to try and recreate something that will resonate more with fans out there.
Sure, and maybe it's just the right writer with the right story and the right message that they're trying to deliver is what we're missing out of that recipe. That could be what it is.
Okay, I just think that again, it's going to take Paramount. I think it again, as the video game
Yeah.
question came in, it all starts and stops with Paramount and how committed they are to making a successful movie and video game. I really think that it starts and it stops with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I know that we've spoken about it, but Axanar, the fan-made movie that Paramount put a stop to, was shaping up to be a really interesting look into some of the like finer bits and pieces of the Star Trek universe. It was read like it was a like historical holodeck kind of rendering, I guess, is what the movie was. And it actually spoke to different characters from Star Trek who were involved in this event that the where the movie takes place in, and all of that kind of stuff. It was a very interesting concept, and it's too bad that Paramount it took and still takes that us versus the fans kind of stance, because if Paramount had have embraced what the cast and what the writers and all of the people behind Axanar were trying to do, they could have really come together and made something really incredible by fans for fans via Paramount. And they could have just taken a project like that and they could have run with it. We never know what could have happened there.
Last thing I'll go ahead and talk to you about and ask you about on this is the fact that I think that in a way, Star Trek 2008, that reboot, is everything you wanted a Star Trek to reach as to a larger commercial
Right.
audience.
Yeah.
it moved fast, it moved
Mhm.
quickly, it had jokes, it was funny, it was entertaining, it was well acted. It didn't get too heavy into the bogged down as far as the tech speak that Star Trek,
Right.
often gets into, that bores the hell out of the general audience. It actually is something that I think, and it does, because it can get bogged down as far as when they go into tech speak and all that. But
What's
when it
weird is
comes,
when you start to understand the tech speak, Gerald.
well, that's again, that's why we're Trekkies, and that's why most of the world is not. But when I say this, I really think that if the Star Trek movie had come out maybe at a different time, because of the fact that it's been so watched by so many people and
Yeah.
been run everywhere and played out everywhere on cable television since then, and it's one of the most replayed movies of the century. I really think that had it been brought out in a different way and promoted in a different fashion, maybe like in 2012, 15, 17. I really think that that movie could have been that movie for Paramount.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. It definitely had the right sizzle. I could do with a little less lens flare, to be honest, but
Yeah, I know, and
the
I get that.
stylistic stuff, I had to bring it up. I had to take a cheap shot at it. Forgive
It
me.
is. It's J.J. Abrams things, and you're
Yeah.
right. It is. He even reflected on it all these years later. He
Yeah.
said about it, but I really think though that if it had been promoted a little bit better, differently, seeing how well it's been liked and appreciated by general audiences on cable television and streaming television and things of that nature, just how much it's appreciated, and just how much they missed the boat on that movie as far as the way that they promoted it and put it on, maybe in the wrong time. I don't know. It's a woulda, coulda, shoulda for me, but I think that they can still go ahead and reach out once again to an audience with a big budget Star Trek and get away with it. And obviously, eventually, I think that they do. I think that they have something in the bag. They just haven't found it yet that will get Star Trek to that next level.
Yeah, it's just the right people and the right ingredients, I think is all that's missing from the recipe.
What if Wrath of Khan, and actually we're running over a half hour, but I will just go ahead and splice it in there. But what if Wrath of Khan had actually gone and I don't know. Let me see. What if Wrath of Khan have actually been remade or been made today? And it was kind of made as far as Star Trek Into Darkness because you saw Khan in there and whatnot. But
Mhm.
what if the actual story of Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, been made in today's atmosphere? Do you think that might have been a really
As long
successful?
as long as see, and this is touchy because you're going to start touching on Klingon lore that nobody likes to talk about.
Ah,
Well, no, that part is fine. But
okay.
if, the with Wrath of Khan, you saw the Klingons, and in the original series, they didn't have the foreheads that we saw and became so familiar with, and so it became so iconic, really,
Mhm.
from Star Trek. So, um, and you couldn't see. I'm of two minds about it
But
because
is
you could.
Ricardo Montalban's performance great for
Oh,
an
yeah,
80s cheesy fashion that
yeah, of
wouldn't
course.
fly in today's atmosphere?
You'd be surprised. I think actually with, just, like, buttoning down a couple of spots, I think that it was beautifully, or could be beautifully over the top in a
I
very
absolutely love that. I
yeah,
absolutely love that
but
performance.
it could be very good in a very over the top Klingon way. And that's what was that's I think what is I've always admired and thought was so beautiful about the Klingons is that they could be as intense or as aloof as you wanted them to be, and they just always felt very versatile for me that way. But with Khan specifically, he's the original series type of Klingon, style of Klingon. He has no forehead. He doesn't have any of that. And it's explained in the Star Trek universe if you care enough to go in and learn that lore. It's sort
Well,
of there,
Khan
but
though was a super being
yes. But
from Earth.
yes, but all of this gives way and spills into a lot of the Klingon stuff.
Oh, you mean the search for? But that was in the search for Spock and not Star
Right.
Trek Wrath of
But
Khan.
it's all going to have to, if you were going to remake it today, all of that has to come together in a
You're right. You
film.
got to throw in some Klingons or some
Yeah.
Romulans, and there you go.
Right. Yeah, you've got to have the pink blood or the blue
Yeah,
bloods or
and more
whatever.
Borg, because you can't have enough Borg these
You
days.
don't have to rely on the Borg if you have a
Seems like they've been
proper.
doing just that.
Well, you had to wrap up Picard's story with the Borg. I am sorry. I am going to die on that hill, Gerald. The only way to end Picard's story was to end it with the Borg. It was the only way to do it.
Okay,
The
and
only way.
what did they end season 2 with and start season 2 with?
Doesn't matter,
Okay, that's
Gerald. It had to end with the Borg.
all right, fair enough. Can't get you off that hill. All right, I won't knock you off that hill. I'll have the Borg go ahead and assimilate you off that hill instead.
Resistance is futile, Gerald. You'll see my point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess I have to. I will say though, even though despite the little bit overly cheesy ending to that season, it was still a delight, and it will be one on probably on my best of list. I will say for that season because the
Oh.
first 6 episodes were absolutely killer in that series for season 3. So definitely go ahead and check it out, Paramount Plus. So I ask everyone out there your thoughts on this, and I'll actually, Melinda, I'll just leave it to you before I do the old throw out to everybody out there.
Mhm.
Your thoughts, though, again, do you think that Paramount will ever decide to go ahead and they're having such success with the TV shows,
Yeah.
and obviously Strange New Worlds is fantastic. You've
It is
seen it
very
yet,
good.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. It's the best Star Trek since the original series for me. And I will say that's a hill I will die on right there for you.
Okay.
But do you ever think Paramount will ever apply the right resources to get a video game and a triple A video game that people are going to play and be involved in for, a long time, like all these top tier video games? And do you think you will ever see a movie that will resonate, even a 7 to 800 million dollar movie? Because a 7 to 800 million dollar movie tells me that it reached out and it grabbed a segment of the non Star Trek audience. So tell me, will Paramount ever reach those levels with a video game or a movie?
I I I would like for that to be a
But you
reality,
seem hesitant.
but I don't think so. I think the only reason why we're seeing Paramount give us so much Star Trek on TV right now is
Mhm.
because it's proving to be a ratings draw and it's proving to make money on the small screen. They've seen what's happened on the big screen and they haven't quite
Mhm.
figured out that formula yet. They've just gotten back to the formula that worked correctly for Star Trek on the small screen. So I think that we're a few years out. I think from even a decent Star Trek movie. I have no idea when we're going to get a good Star Trek video game. I mean, that's a whole other beast.
Yeah,
But
and I'm not saying Star Trek Resurgence isn't going to be a decent video game, but just the
right,
scale of it
yeah,
is not going to be to the extent that let's say if we had Bethesda involved with it, or Naughty Dog,
right,
or Nintendo,
yeah,
the team that just put out Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. If we had one of those top, or even the team that was behind Hogwarts Legacy, if we had a team of that level
hmm
working on a Star Trek game, that could be something so much more. But then again, like you said, it has to get over, I think, a stigma. It has on the small screen where, this is your dad or your granddad's or your grandma's or your ma's Star Trek. It has to get over that stigma, I believe, as well.
right. But and I mean, I will admit to watching Star Trek with my dad. That's where I discovered it. That's how I discovered it. If it wasn't for him, I don't know that I would have found it. But uh I think that it is appealing to a broader section of audience than it used to. I think that it's attracting a lot more different people, and I think that that can only be positive. I hope that they don't just launch into stuff
And I
that.
like Star Trek Lower Decks. I know you don't. I said I like Star Trek Lower Decks. I think that also resonates with a different audience as well.
Yeah, I think that in order for them, I don't want Paramount to start
And the
taking.
Nickelodeon show. as
giant
well.
steps forward, because when they start to take giant steps forward, that's, I think, where they're going to start to lose their footing. I think if they continue with their little baby steps that they've been taking, and let's try
Mhm.
this and see if that works, let's try this and see if this works, and then take all of that information and then really create something to blow our socks off, I think that would be a much smarter move by Paramount.
So, what would you not have right now that's out? You would not have Star Trek Lower Decks out?
No, I would still have Star Trek Lower Decks because that's doing its job. It's introducing the Star Trek universe and stuff to a bigger audience there. I just don't know that right now we need a Star Trek video game. God, I feel like I'm betraying an awful lot of people when I say that, but
Why? Why don't you feel that you don't need a video game now? I mean, you needed a Diablo game now.
well, that was because of my profound obsession with all things Diablo. I
Didn't
know
you have a one time profound things, all things
Star Trek,
profession?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
absolutely. But, even in my obsession of Star Trek, it's gone from an obsession to a genuine love and a passion. And I think that for a Star Trek video game, to really I keep saying I want all of this stuff from Star Trek to just really, really impress me. And I want it to be fantastic. And when they're doing things that miss that mark, it's incredibly disappointing, and it really does take the wind out of your sails as a Star Trek fan. Either I have to lower my expectations as a fan who has been a fan for my life when I
Mhm.
seeing these products come out that even you're saying it's good, but it can be so much better. Why are they not taking those steps to make it that much better? I guess is where I'm at. It's
Usually it
well,
requires a
right.
dollar
So,
amount.
but that's what I mean. Like they finally got to the point where the small screen is working. So continue to focus on that, continue to build on that, and then expand those television IPs now. Imagine a Strange New Worlds movie. Of course, they have to. The cast is too pretty to just be on the small screen. They need to be on the big screen.
And I told you why Strange New Worlds works and why
Yes.
it was the best shows last year
Yeah.
of on television was because of how much fun they
Hmm.
are having.
Yeah.
I can tell that they are just loving and having a ball working with each other behind the scenes. Where I you could actually sense it. You can actually when you hear those rumors of oh man, there's tension on the set, blah 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 blah. It does bleed over onto the screen. Here I can see it exact opposite. They are just having such a good time working with each other. That's why I think New Worlds click so much because you can see they can't hide their smiles
Right.
when they work with each other and they go back and forth. And to see them, even in the darkest of situations, they still are. It just seems like somebody must have cut a joke just before they said action that really keeps them going and keeps them going through the day and those long days shooting and whatnot. So I really think that's part of the reason why that show clicks, but also the fact that I think it's just bringing you something a little bit different than the Star Treks we've seen as of late.
Right, but at the same time, it's still very familiar and it still feels like Star Trek. And
Mhm.
that's truly the important thing. It's that little bit of extra something into the recipe that they're adding, and I'm thankful that they're including those bits and pieces in there.
As am I. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on. Of course, with Strange New Worlds, it's coming out here in just a couple months. But also, I'm looking forward to seeing if Paramount will actually go ahead and apply the right resources to build an awesome AAA video game or outsource it to the right company to outsource them to go ahead and because get that game going that could really vault them over the top. Resurgence could have the best reviews. I'm not sure as of this recording. I'm hoping I can go ahead and come on a future show and eat up a bunch of crow and be told I'm wrong and Resurgence is a hit. But I think because of the small scale and the fact that it hasn't gotten much publicity and hasn't gotten the type of backing on it or advertising on it. I really think that even the studio themselves realize it's going to be an okay game at best,
Mhm.
but we'll see what happens. I do hope that again that Paramount does one day decide to go ahead and apply the resources to build that awesome AAA video game, and that once again that hope that there will be a blockbuster movie sometime down the road.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Fingers crossed for sure.
Fingers crossed indeed. But what are your thoughts out there on the future of Star Trek when it concerns video games and movies? Do you think that there's a possibility of a AAA Star Trek game and a AAA blockbuster worldwide hit somewhere down the line as far as a movie and video game for the Star Trek IP? Or do you think it's just too old, too antiquated? Do you think it's just meant for TV? Let us know your thoughts on the future of Star Trek and if you think there is a big future for Star Trek beyond the television. Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, before hour one is up of our super special back to
Yes.
back episodes here at the PCC Multiverse, wanted to go ahead and ask you, guys, I sent you over a video the other day of the 12th iteration. Now, mind you, keep that number in mind, 12th iteration of Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
And I watched this video. It's of the latest Mortal Kombat game that's going to come out later this year. I believe
Yep.
in September, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's what it said.
And first of all, it did not have the traditional or fun Mortal Kombat. It was made out for this trailer, which is supposed to at least have some gameplay, and it didn't even have gameplay. It was just cutscenes
Cutscenes, yeah.
or storytelling or things of that nature as far as the way that they're trying to perceive it and show it off. Didn't have a single fight scene as far as that was actually what you're going to play in the game. It had a fight scene that was made more in the style of a cutscene, so we didn't get to see any of that. No Mortal Kombat, dude in the background with high amped up techno music, which we all love as far as the theme goes. That
Yeah.
wasn't in there either. Seems like they're building a game from ground one. So they seem to, with this 12th iteration, now because they're building a new game altogether, are calling it Mortal Kombat 1. So my question to you is one word. Huh?
I don't have a whole lot of an answer for you there.
But you and I have grown up with Mortal Kombat in our lives
Yeah,
in some
yeah,
form or fashion, whether it's the arcades and
yeah,
fatality,
yeah,
and all that, and then they came out the Babalities and the sheer violence. It still has the sheer violence according to the trailer that we saw. It's still going to have that, but it features the characters, the main characters, that they showed off that we have grown to know and in some cases love, that we saw even in the latest movie that they dropped, the Mortal
right.
Kombat movie that they dropped a couple years ago. It just seems to me that there's a disconnect that I have with it because of the fact it just didn't seem. I don't know, just why rebooting with this 12th version? I don't know why the need to reboot it, because Mortal Kombat 11 I thought sold pretty good, for a fighting game. I thought it got pretty good reviews. I'll actually take a look right now. I don't think it was slammed, or I don't remember it being criticized beyond all description, but tell me your thoughts. I mean, going back to this reboot now, why?
Yeah. So there was okay, let me tell you a bit of a story. There was a corner
Okay.
store when I was growing up in my formative teenage years. And
Okay.
they would switch out one arcade game, and it was either Mortal Kombat or it was bowling.
Okay.
It was only one of those 2 games in the store ever, and when it was Mortal Kombat, that store was always full of kids trying to even watch the gameplay on it, and this was,
Uh,
like,
it was fun
8-bit.
to watch the gameplay.
Yeah,
I try when I try playing it, I'd always get, on the other end, "Ugh, come
absolutely.
over here."
Right?
That's me, but I love watching it.
Yeah. So if the biggest issue is that, they're trying to update the music, and they're trying to update a couple of things, and by the sounds of it trying to keep some of that hidden, maybe a little bit, maybe that's why we're only seeing cutscenes and stuff like that in that trailer. But it could just be that they felt that it's time for an evolution of Mortal Kombat, and that could be what we're looking at. It could just be that us old fuddy-duddies are now starting to age out of who they want to be playing their video game. That could really be what all it is.
The reason why I say I'm confused by it, because Mortal Kombat 11 came out in
Yeah.
2020,
Yeah.
and as the Metacritic, I remember it being pretty good.
Mhm.
The Metacritic said it got an 88,
Right.
high 80s. which is for a fighting game, that's really, really, really good. And it sold, according to the stats I'm looking up now on Bing, 12 million copies. That's not bad for a fighting game, because a fighting game, remember, people got to remember this, it's not like the old days when, back everybody got it for the N64, they stole Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, got it for the N64, went out to the arcades. It is now part of I should say, select audience between casuals who like to play online, and then also those in the tournament fighting world that love to play it on a competitive basis.
Mhm.
But it's a segment of the audience. It is no longer a game that you may consider as far as being a main draw, like a Zelda, which sold 10 million in less than 3 days, or let's say something like the Elder Scrolls. We'll go back to that again, which sold tens of millions of copies. This sold 12 million copies. I think that's pretty good for a game. Again, that just really, because a lot of people, like Josh says, he doesn't has said that he doesn't play fighting games, he's just not good at them anymore and things like that. I don't really go into fighting games anymore, because I just don't think, unless I'm playing someone like you or Robbie or someone, just someone who doesn't play it every day,
Right.
I just don't think it's going to be fun for me when I go online and get, come over here and get killed like I used to at the arcade.
Yeah.
But it just seems to me that for the audience that it was, diving for, 12 million is pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to poo-poo that, but
But that's why I'm saying it's a why go back and reboot it? Because this looks like, for all intents and purposes, a reboot that is not needed.
well, they're seeing something that indicates that it's needed. And it could just be that they're just making it more youthful. I don't know. I'm at a loss for this one.
How? I mean, they brought the same characters that you've seen before. We saw them in the movie. We saw them
Yep.
in the 2020 version.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Maybe there's a very specific challenge to a fighting game right now that we haven't really considered when you're up against games like Elder Scrolls and like these big open world games that have hours and hours and hours of continuous gameplay. You can include the Call of Duty games and even the Rainbow Six games in those too if you want. But maybe there's something to be said for that. I don't know.
Just seems weird, doesn't it? I mean, it just seems like something that did not need to get rebooted got rebooted. And, again, this is a game that Mortal Kombat 11, the ultimate version, was getting 88s and 90s across the board. Actually, the PC version got a 91. So to me, it just seems weird that they would just take that success and not build off it with a MK12, and instead just seems like we're trying to go ahead and erase everything that we did in the past and start again from scratch.
Do we know for sure that it's trying to erase everything? Do we know for sure?
No, we don't know for sure, but it
Yeah,
just that trailer gives me the vibes, and then the fact that they went back to Mortal Kombat 1.
right. Got
Because
it.
this,
I see
yeah,
what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, it just seems like they're reverting. Why would you be reverting when it seems like you've been doing pretty good, especially with the latest one that came out? So I don't
Yeah.
know. Just seems like, I may be just blowing smoke and just tooting about nothing, but just seems kind of weird to me. Just seemed when it just like you said, there's sometimes some trailers, some things you see on YouTube, whatnot, that get debuted and it just hits you in the wrong way. And I think this, you've told me this before with you,
Yeah.
and that for me, this has hit me in the wrong way. As someone who has seen the Mortal Kombat IP develop from
Right.
nothing to being at the controversial hit that it was in the 90s, and all the
Mhm.
parent teachers out there, associations wanting to go ahead and eliminate this game from society and
Imagine.
all that. Yeah, exactly. And now it's now, then it became, the cult classic movie of the 90s, then one of the worst sequels known to mankind as far as the movies, then but the games continue to grow and progress over the 90s and 2000s into something we see as far as a mainstay in the fighting universe. And again, I'm sure it's going to be good. I mean, if you don't mess with the formula, they've tried to mess with the formula. Sometimes they threw in different characters, Mortal Kombat, the DC universe, all that stuff that they
Yeah.
did for now and then didn't quite work out to the extent that they hoped it to. They've tried to quirk. It seems like when they try to tweak it, it goes a little bit awry. But as long as you try to keep it to the core base of what Mortal Kombat's all about, you can't go wrong from there.
Who knows? You may be pleasantly surprised with this game. Are you going to pick up the game? Are you going to try to play it?
I will try to play it. I don't know if I'll pick it up, but if it comes on a Games Pass through Xbox, I might just go ahead and give that a try right there. But
Right.
again, I'm not going to go ahead and spend $70 on it, because if I go ahead and spend $70 and try to go online, or unless I've got someone here at the house that would want to play it, but I don't. If I go online, I'm just going to get slaughtered. And as someone who's not the gamer that he once was, that's not going to be an enjoyable experience. I don't want to spend $70 anymore, or any type of thing as far as for a multiplayer experience where I'm just going to feel like dirt,
Yeah.
continuously on that. I have no more time tolerance or money to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
When I'm spend my money on a game, I want it to be something I can interact with. I do want a multiplayer experience. I do enjoy multiplayer experiences. I just want to feel like I actually have a chance.
Yeah, it's there's no feeling quite like the shame you feel when you are not doing well in a video game online and you have a 13-year-old talking trash. And
Yep, and teabags you on top of that.
yeah, you're just like, come on, man. Like, give me that's why I don't play first person shooters anymore. I don't even try to continue to develop those skills because it's gross.
Uh-uh,
Anyway,
uh-uh,
with that
uh-uh.
said, sir, I cannot wait to get into some Diablo 4 with you. That's going to be a fun time.
Well, that's coming up in our second hour here, but I want to get everybody's thoughts out there. Are you ready? And actually, I before we even go to the question, I always end the segments
Mhm.
with. This is a big year for fighting games, because you have Street Fighter 6, which is I don't it's not a PlayStation exclusive. We talked about that, but it's very PlayStation heavy
Right.
as far as is concerned, as promotion, things of that nature. So you have Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat, which are the preeminent existing fighting games.
Yeah.
So they're going to be fighting each other. So that to me is going to be something I want to see. So I ask you, my friend,
Mhm.
in this battle where it's going to be MK1, which is actually should be MK12, versus Street Fighter 6. And amazing, after all these years, which both have been around almost the same number of years, that Street Fighter has found a way to only be up to number 6, which is kind of funny because they've had so many different, you know, I guess variations of the Street Fighter universe. And thank you, Lifted, for loving the cosmos. Salute to Melinda, truly appreciate it, and I'm sure she does as well. Uh,
Hello.
Quick question though. Who might come out in this battle between Street Fighter and also as well a little bit of Mortal Kombat? Mortal Kombat,
Yeah, I've got to say Mortal Kombat. Honestly,
really?
yeah,
PlayStation's put in a ton of advertising into Street Fighter 6.
yeah, that's okay.
I will tell you what though, I'm looking forward to it, seeing the battle, how it lays out. That's actually the most interesting battle to me,
Mm.
as far as that's concerned. It's who is going to win the battle between Street Fighter 6 and also as well MK1, which is actually should be MK12. So I want to hear your thoughts out there. Which game are you looking forward to? And do you like the fact that you saw the latest trailer for Mortal Kombat 1? I don't know. I don't get it either. But Mortal Kombat 1, are you looking forward to it? Street Fighter 6? Let us know on this upcoming fight between these two fighting games. Which one you like? Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Want to go ahead and mention real quick? Hi, Blue Magic says, hi, Gerald. Hi, Melinda. It is going to be a 2-hour spectacular here on the
Oh
Cosmos of the
man,
PCC Multiverse.
get your
These are all,
popcorn.
yeah, absolutely. Blue Magic Lifted, great folks, great part of our what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. I will mention to both of you, I don't have anything planned for this evening for the Lakers Fast Break because I got to go ahead and record these shows. But I will say, if you get a chance to check out this morning's Magic Man in the Morning, we had a special. They had a special guest on from the Lakers Fast Break community. So hopefully you get a chance to check it out. If not, I will go ahead and hit up Joe to see if he might be willing to do something, or if those guys have something planned. So I can't guarantee anything for tonight, but you never know with the Lakers Fast Break. But
On
it,
standby.
On standby indeed. But I will tell you, Melinda, it's been a great hour so far. I truly appreciate it. Any thoughts before we head into hour two of what we're talking about right here at the Pop Culture
Oh
Cosmos?
my goodness. I mean, there was a lot of opinions, and yeah, I'm gonna stand by bad Star Trek is better than no Star Trek.
Okay.
Those
But
are my
again,
closing thoughts.
even when it comes to a video game,
Well, no, see, I haven't I myself as a Star Trek fan haven't really bought into the Star Trek video games. Were you aware that Star Trek had a card game like Magic the Gathering?
yes, they
Yes.
put their I mean, my gosh,
I
how
so
long has Star Trek been out? They probably put their IP on. They put their IP on lunch
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah, okay. Well, as they should, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But I have the card game. It's still in Nova Scotia, but I have it. I should get it so we can play it sometime.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's everything is in a protective little sleeve. Like I was obsessed with these cards.
Well,
Anyway, sorry.
I will say though, if you want, we could go
Yeah.
ahead and do it. But again, it's all about Star Trek. They put their IP on everything
Yeah.
over the course of the years, and I'm hoping one day they'll put their IP on a outstanding film and an outstanding game indeed. But looking forward to hearing more from you here in the next hour. It is the PCC Multiverse. It's Gerald Glassard along with Melinda Barkhouse Ross. We thank you so much for watching and listening. It is truly appreciated. Melinda,
Yes.
actually, before we go ahead to it, before we head on out, Devotion says, it's all good, Gerald. We know you always put in the work. I know this is going to sound the same, but I'd never seen Star Wars or Star Trek. Actually, if you said that, Devotion, 10 years ago, I would have said, what? But
Yeah.
now I'm finding more and more people, Melinda, that have said that they're not invested in the sci-fi, at least sci-fi as Star Wars or Star Trek.
No, I mean I think that's because of that drought that we had. It was years and years and years where it really was just the fandoms of on both sides of that of Wars and Trek, who kind of kept the movies and the shows at least in reruns, but now there's just been this resurgence, and it's a great time to be a fan of either IP, or dare I say both.
Dare you say both? Okay. Dare
Dare
you
I
say
say
both.
both.
Dare you say both indeed. But if you have any thoughts on the future of Star Trek and how you'd like to see it, please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go here on the Super Show. But I wanted to ask your thoughts on this when it comes to what we're seeing. Oh, Devotion's actually, we'll start the show this. Devotion's asking, one of the fans of the Lakers Fast Break, where do
Mhm.
you suggest I start if I want to get into sci-fi? I'm actually interested in getting in that option. So that's a good question, because I could tell you Star Trek and I could tell you Star Wars, but you would have to go back from the very beginning to understand or to appreciate the entire landscape of it. What do you say, Star Wars 1977?
I mean, you can do that, but just give me a second, because there is a very specific episode of Deep Space Nine,
Mhm.
and it's the
That's
episode.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine, by the way.
Yes. So there are, I think it's actually 2 episodes,
Mhm.
where you see, a Klingon by the name of Captain Martok, and he ends up being, captured, and he's kept as a prisoner of war. This is devastating for a Klingon. I can't believe I know all this. It's devastating for a Klingon because they are very much, an honorable death is dying on your feet with their sword in your hand, and to be captured is considered like the ultimate insult for a Klingon to not be killed in battle. So we see this character Martok, who is played by the incredible J.G. Hertzler, who I've spent some time with. He's a wonderful man. But in an episode, you see Martok get rescued from this prisoner camp, and then he ends up back on the bridge of a ship. He's the captain again, and Worf and Jadzia both end up on the ship with him, and you see him kind of coming through his post-traumatic stress of being a prisoner of war. But at the end of it, there's this really beautiful moment between these two warriors where they kind of welcome each other into each other's families. And
Mm-hmm.
for Klingons, that's a really big, I was almost going to swear. Sorry. It's a really big deal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for someone who is not a blood relative to be welcomed into your house. It's a big thing. So I'm just trying to find the names of those couple of episodes because they are so good. They're so well written. They're so well acted. And to me, really kind of underscore a lot of the heart and the love that I have for Star Trek. These two episodes. Just let me see if I can find it.
Okay, but when you talk sci-fi,
Yeah.
and the reason why I say I'm not sure I would start with Star Trek or Star Wars is because
Mm,
to ask an adult to start going ahead and watching a 1977 movie with antiquated special effects is something where it needs to appeal to you right away as a kid, and I think that it clicks you and hits you at then. It's really hard for someone who has seen, someone later in life has seen many movies with CG backgrounds and knows how it goes from
sure.
there
Sure.
to actually get invested into sci-fi at this point as far as from that perspective, or even watching the original series from the 1960s of Star Trek. Talk about antiquated CGI and special effects. You're not going to get more antiquated than that compared to what you see then, what you see now. But is there a movie or something in the realm that's been done in the last decade, that you
That
would
would be
see?
a
Yeah.
hmm.
And thank you through the wire. We appreciate you. Love the show. Your passion for the genre is evident. Yeah, we truly appreciate it. We're having a lot of fun here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Thank you. I know that the guys on the LFB always kid me on the Pop Culture Cosmos, and they seem to always give props to Melinda. But you know what? This is what we do here on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
But if there was one property that you'd say in the past decade that could feel modern, that could resonate with an audience, that's not Star Trek and Star Wars, because again, I don't think that's the best place to start. And now that I'm thinking about it, because there's just so much lore. If you want to dive deep into it, you're going to have to dive very deep. But you know, baby steps. We talked about baby steps on the previous show.
True.
What would you go ahead and do as far as baby steps for someone getting into sci-fi?
Well, I mean, there's always so it depends on what you're looking for from your sci-fi. So, Devotion, clarify. Are you interested in like space cowboy chase down stuff? Are you interested in discovering stuff, or are you interested in the interplay between crew who are on a ship that's actually alive? Like, where are you? Like, what do you think your sweet spot might be? What of those kind of interests you the most?
Because Blue
That's a big
Magic
question.
because Blue Magic suggested 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is one of the greatest all-time highest rated science fiction movies of all time. But that was also made decades ago, and to someone that's an adult understanding the world that they do now, it may be hard for them to get involved with that first. I would want to say something that's modern, that clicks with them first, so that would get that individual to go ahead and say, you know what, I want to see what the history of sci-fi is all about. To me, it seems like, let's say you and I didn't have any type of affiliation or just a type of love for sci-fi, but we needed something modern to go ahead and click with us, that we would go ahead and delve into sci-fi. Is there anything that you would choose that came out recently?
I mean, I can't say that it's in the last decade, and I'm sorry that my head is a little bit kind of all over the place right now. But Firefly is not a bad place.
That's a good place to start.
Yep,
Firefly. That
that's a
that's
good one.
this century. That's this century. It was created in part by J.J. Abrams.
Yep.
It's a good series. It had you can watch the series or watch the movie Firefly, which
Hmm.
has been a critically lauded hit for the past 20 years. That one still has a somewhat modern feel, has relatable characters, feels like a western at times more than an actual science fiction
Yeah.
stars type feel. Has an outstanding villain, one of the best acted villains of all time. So
Mm.
yeah, that's an excellent suggestion there. I'd say Firefly is a good place to start. The movie Firefly would be a good place to start, although it does have some lore that you might want to have to tap into if you'd watch the series. But even if you didn't watch the series, it's pretty easy to pick up in the first few minutes and then really get invested in throughout.
Yeah, even if you go ahead and you watch like the very first episode of Firefly, and then you went and watched the movie, maybe that would give you a little bit more context. So you're not going in blind into the movie. But I honestly, I'm comfortable by suggesting that somebody go ahead and watch the movie first. I'm okay with that. I can say that.
Mhm.
You know what? The Expanse, I really enjoyed.
Yeah. But
I
that's a
know.
series. That's a
Yeah.
series.
Yep.
That's
Um,
6 seasons, I think. Though your predecessor would absolutely agree with you because that's one of his all-time favorite shows.
yeah, it was
So,
really good, really good. And I mean, the first couple of episodes, you're like, what the heck is happening? What is going
mhm.
on? And it just continues to get better. So that's cool.
Devotion
Um,
had, said Frankenstein is, often considered the first foray into sci-fi and
mhm,
horror at any level. You could suggest that's a great start as well. Jurassic Park deals and touches on sci-fi. It has elements of horror as well. So if you like those elements, that's obviously something I've always called Jurassic Park an underrated slasher movie because of the way it just picks off
right.
the heroes all one at a time. So you could even say that for that. But yeah, it is definitely it touches on science fiction because it touches on so much of that during the course of the film. But if you're talking about a starry science fiction thing from the past 23 years, I would say Firefly is a good place to start.
It's a good one. And there's Battlestar Galactica. I didn't really spend a whole lot of time with that IP, and I'm
The
sorry that
new
I'm
series or the old
the
series?
well, the new series, I would start with the new one, really. I would just go ahead and start there, and then if, you're interested enough, then you can go back and pick up the other stuff. There and Gerald, I apologize, I can't remember the name of the series, but the ship is alive, it's a living organism. There's a
Hmm.
blue woman with a bald head who is so divine in the episode, she's so good. I've gotta close my eyes so I can see it. Um, and yeah, oh gosh, I wish I could remember the name of it. I
I
just randomly found
I
it one
I
day.
Are you talking about the movie?
It was a show.
Oh, okay, because I thought for a second the ship is alive, like Event Horizon or something like that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. I wanna say it's a one-word title.
Mhm. Okay, there's plenty of one-word things
Um,
you could title it with.
yeah, no
Uh,
kidding.
Melinda and Gerald, Devotion, Tears of Joy is asking, do you prefer a series or a movie? I just prefer quality work. I'll sit through a series, no problem if it's really good and really well done. Movies, I think a movie for me probably if I had to go and choose because even some of the best series that I've ever seen sometimes has an episode that doesn't quite meet the standards. It's rare that I find a series that is actually continuously great for all of its episodes. The most recent one I found that had the kind of the greatness attached to it in all of its episodes was Severance on Apple Plus.
Right.
I think that that's probably one of the most outstanding series I've seen in this century. I know that a lot of people liked
Found it.
Andor,
Yeah.
Star Wars Andor. That although I thought that had a couple of, it was actually very outstanding for almost all but 2 episodes. So I could say that as well. But go ahead, Melinda.
It's called Farscape.
Oh, Farscape. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
it's a little, it's a little hokey, it's a little, like
Low budget too, because
yeah,
it was a syndicated series.
yeah, but there's something about it that is, really endearing, and I really enjoyed it, I watched the series, and I just accidentally found it one day, and then,
Mhm.
like, a week later, I had watched the whole thing, so, to me, that was a good one, and if you are into cosplay or you think you might get into cosplay, there's a lot of really good costume ideas in that show too.
Oh, absolutely. So these are
Mhm.
great suggestions. Hopefully, everyone out there will go ahead and maybe try them if you haven't already. But if you've got suggestions out there, you could always go ahead and hit us up, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, on what you would like for good sci-fi or what you would suggest for someone who has not ever delved really too much into the world of science fiction. So go ahead and let us know your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Go ahead, Melinda.
I was
You
just
know,
gonna
you want
say,
to say something. I know
um,
you want to say
I know,
something.
I know, sorry. Also, the Dune
Don't be
movie
sorry.
just
So
came
you're good.
out, and there's another one on the way really soon. So if you haven't watched Dune, watch
Yes,
that,
absolutely. I do want
right?
to mention, yes, I agree with Melinda. If you've not read the book,
Yeah,
the classic book that this came from, and you've ignored the over the top, terribly cheesy, but I do love Sting in the role,
right.
uh, 1984 disaster, and you've not watched the miniseries that came out around 2000, do yourself a favor.
Yeah,
Dune Part One or Book One. It's a Dune book Part One or something like that. It's Dune
yeah,
Part One. It is available now on HBO, or excuse me, it's available on the Max channel
yes.
right now, and it is outstanding. And it gets you so excited for Dune Part Two, which is coming out on the first week of November, early November. So I'm looking forward to seeing Dune Part Two simply because Dune Part One, which came out in 2021, if
Mhm.
I'm not mistaken, is really good. So that's absolutely, if you want to see good sci-fi based off a property that's been out for decades, that was one of those books to movie type deal, I would say Dune Part One. Dune Part One is probably what I'd go with. That's an outstanding choice. Good, good. I can't believe we forgot that until
Yeah,
now.
I don't know how that happened. That was a pretty big
We
mistake
were
on our
just
part.
talking about it last week.
It was almost a fatality is what that was. But,
Fatality.
right? So, Devotion, if you do get to watch Dune, please let us know what you think. And if you are interested in getting into any books, please let me know because I have a
Yeah.
very long list of those.
And it has a lot of relatable stars: Jason
Yeah.
Momoa, Oscar Isaac, Zendaya, Timothy Chalamet's hair. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Timothy
really
Chalamet's jawline, it's all there.
no, it was the hair. The hair deserves its own special spot on the story list, but it is truly an incredible movie. I think it actually wasn't one of my picks for the both you and I picked it for the best of 2021. So there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, if you want to read the books that it was based off of, because the Dune series, it leads into a whole series as far as star science fiction and a whole thing and a whole universe that was created from Dune. But the main book of Dune is just truly outstanding. So yeah, definitely give that a read, and then of course see Dune Part One, the 2021 movie, now that's available on the Max channel or basically wherever you get your DVDs and Blu-rays and things of that nature. So
Okay,
yeah,
one more thing, because Devotion just answered and said, "I love a good book too." So, I am going to suggest it may be a little more fantasy than sci-fi. I think it walks a very fine line, but go and get the first book of the Mistborn series, and if you dig it, read the rest of it because it's so good. It's really
I'd
great.
probably say sci-fi. Sci-fi is our favorite genres. I love action adventure.
Yeah,
I think that's up there for me. But you can float action adventure in sci-fi. So I'd say
yeah.
sci-fi. That's
Mhm.
probably our favorite genres, don't you think?
Yep, I love that, but I also do love swords and horses and dragons
Yeah,
and
that's true.
all of that,
And
I
Lord of
love
the
all that
Rings.
stuff.
Name two of my kids after Lord of the Rings movies. So,
Right? There it
and
is.
which comes from the books. So,
How is Smeagol these days?
but you don't call my kids Smeagol. I did not name my
Just
kids
kidding.
Smeagol.
I'm
No.
just kidding.
Check that birth certificate, lady. Mm-mm-mm. There you go. Absolutely. So, if you want to go ahead and get a chance, devotion, go ahead and check out Dune. It is truly something that's worth your while, especially how visual it is, how wonderfully visual that movie is from 2021. Dune Part One. It's highly recommended by both of us. It was our best of the year 2021, and of course, it emanates from all the books that it emanates from, starting with the main book, Dune, that was created so long ago. So if you have any thoughts out there on the best of sci-fi, or what, if you had someone out there that's not familiar with sci-fi and they want to get into it, and where would they start? I want to hear your thoughts. Pop Culture Cosmos at
Gerald, did you get a
yahoo.com.
tattoo?
Well, I have a tattoo, and here's the story. I bet if the Lakers had won a game in the recent this week, which they didn't, I was going to go ahead and get a tattoo. I had a meeting earlier today with my tattoo artist, and we are designing one now. And I actually am going to go ahead and get a Lakers and an Avengers tattoo along with it. So yes,
Attaboy.
yes, yeah. It's still in the design phase, but it will be done. I guess he told me that he's going to have it ready for us here in a couple weeks, and I'll hopefully get it done in mid-June. So yeah,
And there's
absolutely.
going to be
You don't
like,
have any tattoos, do you? That you actually visually show on screen?
who, me? No, I don't have any.
Yeah,
No,
no, not at all, not at all. Yes,
I'm not
absolutely.
tattooed at all.
Yes,
But there is going to be like behind the scenes social media footage of this, right?
I'll take some pictures. How about that? Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I wanted to do something, and now before we get on to the next thing, as far as
Yeah.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I wanted to go ahead and get into my love for the Lakers, but my love for pop culture. And instead of doing I may do the pop culture guy at some point in time down the line.
Mhm.
We'll see. But I wanted to do like the Avengers because if you know the story that the Avengers cast outside of Mark Ruffalo, who is allergic to needles,
Right.
got
Yes.
the A tattoo. If you ask
Mhm.
him to go ahead and show it to you, I think it's on their arm, like a really small Avengers A. And that's what I really want to do. So I want to get a small Avengers A, small Lakers, but also something here to remind me of my kids as well. So definitely,
Oh, that's
yes.
lovely.
But yeah, Tears of Joy is asking, Melinda has tattoo. Yeah, I guess you didn't see it on screen. Yeah,
Yeah,
on her arm.
oh wait, hang on. I
There you
that's
go.
not a good angle of it. It's a weird one because my arms are weird, but it's a gargoyle holding a diamond with like cathedral kind of elements. It's
Okay.
not, my arm doesn't bend right.
Does it also say in small writing, Robbie is a terrible human being?
Never.
Oh,
Never.
okay. All right.
This
I
one
just thought it
though,
did. I'm sorry.
this one was my very first.
Okay.
Treble clef. For some reason in radio stations the microphones button is always on the left hand side of the board, so that's why it's on my left arm. Anyway, it was just a
Okay.
nerdy thing.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
Melinda, by the way, that Robbie is Melinda's husband, and I know he's a great guy, and I always kid her on the show on that. But
Yeah,
Tears of Joy says you're super brave, Melinda, because yes, tattoos hurt.
they
Take
do.
one from who hasn't. Yes, they do
Yeah,
hurt.
and that
Yes.
one that you can see I traveled to England to get from a very
Wow,
talented
I didn't
artist.
even know that.
Yeah, a very talented artist. Her name is Jenna Kerr, and she has a deadly Instagram if you want to go and have a look at some of her work. She's incredible.
Wow, I
Yeah.
feel small. I just went to downtown Las Vegas to get mine. I feel so inadequate now.
Yeah.
Thank God I'm getting something to cover it up. That's all I'll say. So, but I will tell you though, it's got a lot more to talk about on today's show. Wanted to go ahead and hit you up. Sony's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's coming out the week that this airs. Your thoughts on it? Because the first animated Spider-Man adventure from Sony, as far as won an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. This is truly something as a follow-up that's highly anticipated.
Mhm.
It is really something that a lot of people are looking forward to. I'll leave it at that. So, your thoughts on this, Melinda?
I think even if it's mostly a rinse and repeat of the first movie, it's gonna do fine.
Yeah, because it was really dang good. It was really
Really
dang
good.
good. The first, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely enjoyed it. This one takes it all to another level. I like the fact that they're throwing in all the multiverse aspects of it because everything's now about a multiverse, and God forbid you would steer away from that. And now the fact that the MCU is delving and diving feet first into a multiverse concept. Sony, in its infinite wisdom, is following along with that with like million other Spider Verses with Spider Man. All it somehow is relating to the story and all working together or not working together. And Miles Morales. I love the fact that they're allowing this part of the Spider-Man universe with Miles Morales become the main protagonist and the main hero per se, and then the main individual behind this because he's doing it's just such a great job. Sony, we criticize Sony for a lot of things, but I'll tell you what, the way that they've set up this part of the Sony Spider-Man universe has really been done very well.
If they and the proof is in the pudding. I mean, really, that movie was very, very good. And like I said, if it's a re-up and just more of the same, I think that they're gonna do just fine.
Oh, I
Really.
think they would. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. By the way, yes, I'm the one that designed the Pop Culture Cosmos logo, but oh my gosh, 7 years ago, roughly. So, yeah, it just seemed like a long time ago. I just thought it would be cute. I got some references out there, got some ideas. I want a little spaceman, got some references on there, added a little bit of touches of my own, and there you go, Pop Culture Cosmos logo indeed. But I will say though that I am looking forward to seeing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I want to ask you this before we go ahead and talk about some other things that are on the plate here in pop culture. When it comes to this movie, though, we talked about the Little Mermaid on the last show, and that's obviously going to still be in theaters when this hits. You talk about Fast X, got off to okay start. It's not getting off to the same kind of start that the previous Fast Furious movies do, but again, overseas, it's killing it,
Right.
as we talked about, because this movie, like Transformers coming out later in June, these movies are more catered to an international audience than the domestic audience. Plus, you have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 still roaming around there in theaters. Do you think this movie can strike the same kind of chord with audiences?
I can't see why it wouldn't,
Hmm.
you know.
I don't know if it'll be as good, but like you said, if they follow the same formula and don't blow it, it could still be a darn good movie.
Yeah, I mean, even if it falls just a little bit short, it's still going to be a great movie. The other one was that good, so
Yeah.
it's just as long as they, and this is going to sound silly, but as long as they don't try to get too big for their britches. Do you know what I mean? It's taking that
Mhm.
giant step forward when they really only needed to take a half a step. And we're right there with them, but a giant step forward, they may lose us.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thinking on it.
Well, I'll tell you what, my friend, I am looking forward to it.
Hmm.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm really looking forward to it because I'm assuming that they're going to continue. If it does okay, I still think they have a future for this series. I don't think this is going to be the only one either, because these companies, these studios, they just cannot get their hands once they start a successful series. It's whenever they end it seems to be the problem. So I have a feeling that this we're not going to see the last of this, especially after the success of the first one. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it indeed. So what are your thoughts out there on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? That's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. And I'm teasing you, Melinda, because the most thing that you want to talk about that's coming out for one of the earlier parts of June, we're still not touching upon just yet.
No, I know.
I'm going to go ahead and hit up on the revival of Futurama first.
Yes.
So your thoughts on that? We saw the trailer recently,
Yeah.
and it's actually
Just a teaser.
but when I ask you, I mean, this is the third or fourth time around for Futurama. I mean, how many times it is so beloved? It's such a
Mhm.
cult hit, but it's never resonated with a huge audience, which is the reason why it's been canceled, brought back, canceled, brought back,
Yeah, it's because
canceled, brought back.
my strongly worded emails keep working.
Yes. But can it finally, instead of being canceled and brought back, be brought back and be watched continuously by a large audience?
My goodness, I hope so. I think we deserve it. We deserve to see Bender and Fry and their hijinks and all of the different ways that Fry and Leela just can't get their relationships right. And there's many things I think still to explore in the Futurama universe. And every single time it comes back, it feels like an event. And maybe that's part of its charm and also part of its kind of cult like following, maybe.
Well, again, I mean, I've seen quite a few of the episodes, not all of them, but I
Hmm.
do enjoy it. It does have that quick, sharp humor, the biting humor that seems
Yeah.
to get its audience that it does. And the thing though with it, I'm not sure if it's going to resonate with a larger audience. It is coming to Hulu. If I was Disney and I knew that I was going to go ahead and have everything all in one app, I think, and it's not going to come out until later this year for that all in one app experience. I would have held on to this and waited until later this year. And it really could have promoted that to the 150 Disney Plus users, the 150 million plus users that Disney and Hulu will now have when they put these two things together.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to that, but I think that putting it on Hulu, I think it is the right um, place to put it. Really, it feels correct. I don't think it would feel correct on a Disney platform yet. Let us enjoy it non-Disney involved before we have to merge.
It's on Hulu, so it
Yeah,
already is
no,
Disney.
I know, but officially
They bought
speaking,
Futurama when they bought
or I
Fox.
have to go into the blue app instead of going into the green app. Come on. That's all I need. No, I think that Futurama like you said has that biting comedy. I think that this show also has tremendous amounts of heart. as we saw with the episode that features Fry's dog waiting outside of the pizzeria. That was a heartbreaking episode. That's probably an episode that the fans of Futurama reference the most when people are like, "What's so great about Futurama?" Just go and watch the episode about the dog, and then we can have this conversation. I think that it's an understood pinnacle peak perhaps of what Futurama is capable of in terms of their storytelling. I think that they do a very good job of that. Even their evil Santa robot is hysterical and was quite fun to watch, and all of the stuff around mom and mother and her being the mom of all of the robots and stuff like that. I mean, it's good stuff. It's good writing, and I'm always thrilled whenever it's announced that Futurama is coming back. I'm always excited.
Okay. Speaking on that, Lift is asking, what's your favorite animated comedy? Is it The Simpsons, Futurama? Is it, I don't know, is it Family Guy? For me, it's something that unfortunately is already getting the X, and I'm very sad to see, and that is Archer. I
Yeah, Archer
absolutely
is
love
very
Archer.
good. Yeah.
Archer is really underrated funny. I don't know why it was just put on FXX. I really thought that it could have been a hit, a huge hit somewhere else. It did play, okay, 14 seasons. It's obviously a hit to an extent, but
Yeah.
I really think that Archer in the right format could have, on the right platform, could have been at the level of, you said there was South Park. The early years of South Park were tremendous, and now you see it, 20 some odd years later. You
Yeah.
see Simpsons now in its 30th season and whatnot. What is your favorite animated comedy?
Ooh, that's tough, because there's so many that are so great, and a lot of them for very different reasons. I think I like Futurama a lot because I feel like the humor is smart.
Mhm.
And like I said, you have those big heart moments in the show as well. Oh my gosh, adult cartoons. I'm getting them confused with all the anime I've been watching lately. But after that, I probably, oh God, maybe the Cleveland show. Weirdly enough, I know that's not one that a lot of people talk about, but I really do. I like that one a lot. Um, yeah, Family Guy and American Dad. I used to watch religiously, faithfully. I had DVD box sets back home in Nova Scotia. So
I still
um,
think it's so funny Seth MacFarlane can create that voice or create
right,
all those voices for
all of
Family
those
Guy.
voices, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I like those shows. I think that there's a time and a place for those shows. But there I expect a little bit more out of my humor these days than I was expecting when I was watching Family Guy and American Dad. It just feels like easy humor with those ones. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's just I'm just looking for something that has a little bit more something to it, substance, I
Pizzazz.
suppose.
Je ne
Yeah.
sais quoi, as I like to
Yeah,
say.
the je ne sais quoi. Yes.
Special sauce, the secret
Yes.
sauce. Yes.
Yes.
Blue Magic says, wow, the Cleveland show, a classic. I was not expecting that. You know what? I'm never expecting any of the things these days that Melinda says. She always surprises me with something new, just right out of the left field all the time.
Yeah.
That's why she's Melinda Barkhouse
Mhm.
Ross.
Yeah.
There you go, indeed.
Mhm.
But what are your thoughts out there on the return and a revival of Futurama? Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Want to go ahead and hit you up with a couple more things before we get to what you really want to talk about.
It's fine, it's fine.
You flashed a video at me, Lords of the Fallen, great gameplay trailer that actually did show a lot of cutscenes, but it actually showed some actual gameplay. What do you know? A debut trailer that actually shows gameplay. Who could have thought? Yeah, Mortal Kombat 1 didn't, that's for sure. But your thoughts on this when it comes to Lords of the Fallen? It looks like it's pretty good. Although, I mean, I thought the previous entry was Lords of the Fallen, Lords of the Fallen. I mean, I don't know. I again, whatever that they want to go ahead and call it, whatever they're bringing out is pretty darn good.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this game actually. I hadn't heard of the previous iteration. Like I said, not huge video. I know video games, but not I don't know video games,
Yes, you do.
in the biblical sense, I don't know them.
Yes,
But
you do.
but I am
You've
intrigued by
chewed
this.
me out for an hour on my decisions on video games. So don't tell me you don't know video games. That's
Stop it.
baloney.
I have not. I have not.
Yes, you have.
But
There are almost 2 years of documented episodes that would say otherwise.
we'll do a super cut sometime. It'll be great.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
the editing on that would be, yeah,
yeah,
Herculean effort.
it would be, yeah.
Yes.
But this looks like a video game that is right up my alley. It feels Assassin's Creed. It feels Diablo-esque.
And
It
Elden Ring was the name we mentioned.
Yeah, it feels Elden Ring. A lot of the
Dark Souls-ish.
yeah, it's kind of the grim dark stuff. There may be even a little feel of Warhammer 40K in there with how
Hmm.
dark and heavy it seemed to be.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely a game I'm looking forward to.
It looks.
Diablo 4 may have a little bit of competition on my PlayStation.
What do you
Oh
know? Absolutely.
no.
No, no, indeed. But when Lords of the Fallen did it give you a release date?
I believe it's the 24th of July. Just give me a quick second and
Okay,
I will
which is
see if I
summer games. They don't bring out enough of them. They space them out, and I really think that it'd be a to me, if you're a gamer, you are clamoring for more during the summer because they don't bring a lot of things out in June, July.
and weirdly, that's when people have time to play video games, right?
You would think,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we're going to talk about one that's coming out here in June in a second. So, yeah, I think that Lords of the Fallen, I like what I see, and I think Melinda does as well. So, might be interested. Hit us up if you're interested as well. Lords of the Fallen, Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Well, one last thing I want to touch on, and I'm very sad about it, is recently at Cannes, the film festival, where all these great films are being showcased. They did honor Harrison Ford. When they debuted Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, they honored him with a standing ovation. I was told it was a lukewarm 5 minute stand. I don't get the standing ovation stuff. And if you're,
Yeah.
a 5 minute standing ovation is bad compared to a 10 minute standing ovation. It can, just are we, people are timing this stuff. The fact that people are timing it, first off, I've got issues with. The fact that they also go ahead and rate how well the standing ovation is the second thing I got with it. They honored Harrison Ford with the Palme d'Or, which is the greatest honor that the Cannes Film Festival gives out. They surprised him with it and it got him to tears. And then the reviews came out
Yeah.
for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and it is getting raked over the coals. It's gotten out right now as we speak. I don't know how when this airs it will be, but I have a feeling it's not going to change too much. It's right now it's out at a 53 on Metacritic, which is
Oof.
pretty bad. That's
Yeah.
like Fast X level right there for you. So I ask you, this doesn't bode very well for we were hoping that it would be good because if you go by the Lakers fast break fans go with the Anthony Davis in the playoff format, every other one is good. Number one, Indiana Jones good. Number two, Indiana Jones bad. Number three, Indiana Jones good. Number four, Indiana Jones bad. Unfortunately, it looks like the streak is broken. Indiana Jones number 5, even though I'm going to still see it, does not look very good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are still going to go see it despite what these ratings are saying. Sometimes the critics get it wrong and the fans are the ones who speak the loudest. So I always try to keep that in mind when I'm looking at a movie reviews and stuff like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, I am looking forward to it anyways. I'm going to give it a shot. Anytime Indiana Jones is there going ahead and blowing away some Nazis,
Mhm.
always a good time for
Yeah,
me. So,
that's right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping for good things. I'm hoping that the word of mouth will be a lot better than what the critics' word is said. And I don't want to get into it like Josh Peterson, my co-host, who's coming back in June on the Pop Culture Cosmos. Because don't get him started on critic culture because he's been saying that for years. He does not like the way critics approach these films. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it anyways. So please let us know your thoughts if you get a chance to see it later in June. Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Before we hit up everything as far as what you want to talk about before we head on out, Endorphin is talking about Bob's Burgers is
Yes.
also good.
Yes.
So yeah, good
Tina
choice.
is Tina Tina could be my child. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. I adore the show. I think the kids are hysterical. I love the crossovers that they've done with the Archer stuff. Just brilliant, fantastic writing, great stuff. Just a man who loves his family and is just trying his best. And what is there not to appreciate about a show like that?
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just very well done. We all like these long running animated features as far as the series is concerned. South Park, again, I thought the early South Park really resonated with me and
Mhm.
was really good. I still think South Park, bigger, longer, uncut as a movie is one of the best movie musicals I have ever seen. I know
Right.
people just laugh at me and think, they just think I'm stupid when I say that. But if you look at it as a quality, if you look at it from a perspective, just a unbiased perspective, and look at it as a structure of a movie musical, the actual, it's supposed to be funny, but these songs are seriously made. There's a lot of thought put into it. The actual plot, the actual whole 9 yards. That is an outstanding movie musical that has held up, and it would stand the test of time with any other movie musical, in my opinion. The series, again, when you're out that long, ups and downs, ups and downs. Endorphin says, "Do you like Jackass?" For some reason, South Park thing reminded me of Jackass. Jackass, I mean, it depends on the gag. I think it all depends on the gag. Which Jackass gag works and which Jackass gag doesn't work. So I mean, it's a lot of hits and a lot of misses with Jackass. Sometimes leaves you tears in your eyes from you're laughing so hard at the stupid things that they do, and sometimes you just go like, okay, that really didn't impress me much. But I think with South Park again, it's all over the place on South Park. But I will say though, Melinda, it's been a great conversation on so many great things out there in animated features and animated comedies. I mean, our audience has been outstanding on that, and I truly appreciate
Absolutely.
all the
They're the real
suggestions.
heroes of the show today. Well done.
But yes, well done indeed. But I have delayed it far too long. Something out there that I'm going to tell you now, Melinda. If you've heard this show and continue to hear this show on either YouTube, Facebook, or if you actually heard it out on podcasts or on the 70, what time? Excuse me, now 30 radio stations that are out there that we go ahead and distribute to each and every week. You already know that Melinda has been waiting day in and day out with Diablo 4. When this actually airs to the radio stations and also on the audio podcast formats, Melinda will actually or be sitting down in front of a PlayStation and playing Diablo 4. By the way, Endorphin loves your glasses, by the way.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
yes. They've got X-ray vision and 3D vision all in one as well. Just want to let you know.
Yeah. The grocery store is tricky, but other than that, it's great.
Okay, fair enough. But Diablo 4 is coming out, and I left virtually 20 minutes for you to talk
Oh,
about it, and
man.
just reap the praises in. I mean, you've had a chance, with the previous Diablos to really delve into the lore, into the universe, and then Diablo 4, you've had a chance to go ahead on not once, but twice over the
Yeah.
course of 2 different weekends, get into the stress test and play. I think it's just the first level, the first real level that they get you to level 20, progress you there to maybe 25. But they really can't, it won't really let you go any farther from there because it's just, again, the first part of the story. Lifted, yes. Melinda says she's not a video game freak, but the way this woman can talk video games, she is a gamer indeed. And yes, as someone who has owned games, and you'll actually see it on the Lakers Fast Break, I will wear a Pong shirt every now and then. That'll tell you my history goes way back to Pong, Atari 2600, goes into Nintendo's ColecoVision. It went into the I kind of like went out in the late 90s and 2000s, kind of like came in and out, but got back into it with the original Xbox, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360, and then have gone from there. But obviously, that Diablo 4 has come out with such advanced word that it's really going to be good.
Mhm.
I really
Mhm.
think that they've done a smart thing with all these stress tests,
Yeah, me too.
something which other games should do, and they don't. There's going to be a big patch that they put in day one because they always do that now
Of
these
course,
days.
yeah.
So, and there's going to be bugs that are here and there. There was little bugs during the course of the stress test, but for the most part, it looked pretty good, pretty solid. The time I spent to it, I enjoy it. But for me, it's a multiplayer game. I'm not going to enjoy it to the fullest as just playing by myself. You are different. What are your hopes and thoughts on Diablo 4? Even though, as you and I talk about this, you'll probably be listening to this while you're playing it the week comes out.
Yeah, right. So I will say that the bonus weekend that we had to do the server stress test, it gave me an opportunity to play the final class that I didn't get a chance to play during that initial
So you
weekend.
played all the classes. Can you
I've
go
played all
run
of the
down the
classes.
classes? Okay, because you have a choice when you start the game to choose the class. Necromancer's one,
Necromancer,
Barbarian's one.
barbarian, sorcerer, druid, and there's another one that's standing between the druid and the sorcerer, and I can't remember what
I'll go
it
ahead and bring it up. But
is.
yeah, but you get a choice of five.
Yeah, I can't remember what the fifth one is. I'm gonna
Okay.
be like, "Duh," as soon as you can say it.
Well, I'm looking up right now for you. But
Yeah.
again, tell me about your thoughts on Diablo 4. Your first off, which one did you like the most, and which one did you like the least?
Well, the one that I liked, the most was the one that I expected to like the least, and that was the druid. I was
Okay.
genuinely surprised because
It was
even the
sorcerer, barbarian, rogue,
rogue.
necromancer, and druid.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the other one.
Yes.
The rogue, I did. I think I'd have to spend more time with the rogue. I think I didn't quite master the what the rogue can get up to and the different ways that you can kind of sneak around and stuff. I didn't really master that when I was playing it, but so that one probably is at the bottom of my pile right now in terms the first
Mhm.
one I'm going to play when I get the game will be the druid, followed by the sorcerer, followed by the barbarian. The necromancer was cool. I like that you get little pet skeletons that I'm sure evolve as the character grows, and having them and being able to resurrect the things that you've just killed and have them fight with you and stuff. That was all amazing, but nothing that we didn't see in Diablo 3 either.
Mhm.
So, but I thought the druid just brought something different and something a little kind of interesting to the game, being able to shapeshift into the bear and the wolf and stuff like that. So,
I tried
uh,
out the necromancer. I liked utilizing the necromancer. I thought it
yeah,
was fun how you could send the different corpses,
yeah.
out at people and have a legion of corpses. Not very strong to start off with, but as you get stronger, they get stronger too.
Yeah, and I tried the sorcerer because I wasn't really expecting a whole lot from that one either, but actually had a lot of fun with that too. I had like a lightning fire combo thing happening with the
Mhm.
spells that I could cast, and it seemed to be working quite well. So, no, I just asking me to choose a favorite class. I feel like is asking me to choose my favorite my favorite child.
Right. And at least, okay, to give everybody an idea as far as the style of play, I mean, it's top down. It really is something
Yeah.
as far as a fantasy adventure. For those that go on the way back, if you remember Gauntlet, this would be the spiritual
Mm,
expansion of what Gauntlet could be, as far as if you'd imagine when you were playing Gauntlet that it goes to different worlds, different locations, different cities, different ways of playing it. And you could have different features, but the basics are similar to what Gauntlet was. Before we go in more on that, Endorphin's asking the favorite game and console. I stopped gaming years ago. He might get back into it. For me, my all-time, it's so funny because I will say the best game I've ever played, the best experience I've ever played, may or may not be my favorite game. And the reason I say that is because Uncharted series has been such a great
mhm.
thing, and Mass Effect has been such a great series for me. Mass Effect 2, Uncharted 2, great experiences. Each one has just a little bit of a flaw, especially the ending for Uncharted 2. The actual last boss fight was kind of lame, running around a tree to go ahead and win that battle. Mass Effect 2, for the most part, great adventure, absolutely just outstanding. For me, Uncharted 3, from beginning to end, was a complete adventure. I absolutely was thrilled to play and was the overall best experience I've ever had on a gaming platform. What's yours?
Um,
And
gosh,
actually, you see the sign. You actually see the
yeah.
standee that's right behind me for Uncharted 3.
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, I tried really hard to be good at Rainbow Six Siege. I tried
Mhm.
really hard to be good at it. I'm just bad at first person shooters, but I really
No,
enjoyed that game.
Is that
Um,
your all-time favorite?
it's not my all-time favorite. It's the one that I wanted to be my all-time favorite. I'm just not
Okay.
good at playing it. Diablo 3 is probably my all-time favorite. I love it. I'm never bored of it. I'm just constantly crushing through it. I can turn it on and run a couple of rips and I'm happy, you know.
Favorite console, or for you, favorite PlayStation console?
Oh, well, I
Because
have
you only like PlayStation, according to if people listen to the show.
yeah. I spent some time with the PS2 and the Legends of Dragoon back in the day. I will say that, but I have loved my PS4. It was the best impulse purchase when I had impulse purchase money to buy. It was a good investment. It's done me well. It is a workhorse. I haven't had any issues with mine. I need some wood to knock on because now I've cursed myself. I'm gonna have to get a PS5 soon. Knocking on wood.
Okay.
But no, the PS4 has been brilliant for me. I've liked it a lot, and Diablo 3 probably my favorite. But it just depends on the kind of stuff that you're into, right?
Absolutely. For
Yeah.
me, I think the best console I've ever played, even though I've said on this show, I've said the best value anybody ever had was the Xbox One S.
Yeah.
That was a great value at like 199 or something like that. It was actually for what it could do, play Blu-rays and do a lot of things. I thought it was just outstanding for a great
Hmm.
value. That was highly underrated at the end of that cycle. I think the Xbox Series S behind me, that is around 250. That is a great value. And what it can do. By the way, again, I haven't put any like really meaty games to test to see how well it is. Like when Starfield comes out later this year,
Right.
which I'm really looking forward to. I think that that's going to push and test the limits of the S. May have to get me an Xbox Series X instead because it's that much more powerful. PlayStation 3, I had a lot of fun with it, even though at the time it came out, it was very controversial because of its high price tag, but I really
Right.
enjoyed my time with it. But I'd say out of all of them, even though it mechanically it wasn't the best because it had its failure issues, the Xbox 360. And the reason why I say that is because it allowed me still to play in my original Xbox and
Hmm.
original Halo and Halo 2 and original Xbox games, but allowed me to get into a deeper world of games that you see behind me that have influenced the modern video game world. Because
Sure.
when I was running a video game store in 2007 and 2008, especially 2007, which is considered by many the best year of video games, the titles that have come out that came out that time, BioShock, Mass Effect, you had Uncharted, you had so many different monumental game series that came out then for for platforms of that era. And I know the Uncharted series came out on PlayStation 3. That's why I enjoyed that. But I was playing Mass Effect on my Xbox 360. I was playing Gears of War on my Xbox 360, and that came out a year earlier, 2006. I was playing Rainbow Six Vegas right behind me on Xbox 360, Dirt on Xbox 360, Oblivion, which came out in 2006. That was on the Xbox. I played 100 hours plus on that. To me, the Xbox 360, that era, that console means so much because I played so many outstanding games on it.
Yeah. There was a lot of information we just threw at endorphin.
Yes, Endorphin says thank you so much for
Yeah.
that. I still don't know why Melinda has so much angst over the Xbox. Again, some really great consoles have come out over the years and games that have specifically come out for. But then again, with the PlayStation, they've had their share of great games. As I've had a PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 over the years. In fact, I still have my Uncharted PlayStation 4 right behind me here. So, Endorphin, yeah, I ran a video game store. One of the best jobs I've ever had was running video game store in 2007, 2008. But unfortunately, that part of the video game world fell to the world of GameStop as far as the competitor is concerned, because
Right.
at that time GameStop ruled the world, and unfortunately they no longer do in the age of digital. But I will say, to finish off our conversation for the last 10 minutes or so, it is Diablo 4. I mean, what are your expectations for it? You talked about Diablo 3 being one of your favorite games of all time,
Yeah.
something you actually on the drop of a hat can go back into. Diablo 4 so far in your stress test that you've actually been a part of seems to be doing something that you would like to go ahead and continue on in this Diablo universe.
Yeah, it still feels like a Diablo game, which is important. It's still you still get things that pop up on your screen when you kill 15 pots. you know, you still get all of that stuff, so it still feels familiar, even though it's brand new. And what I love about the games is you really can just kind of plop down on your couch and you can.
Yep, is pop on your couch
Yeah,
and
and you can choose to jump into a rift, or you can choose to start a brand new character from level 1, and either way you're going to have a great time. And maybe it's the voice acting. I have a soft spot for Deckard Cain. I think I always will.
Diablo.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about the games that I really, really enjoy. I can't really put my finger on it more than that. I love a hack and slash game, and when you get into the middle of, you know, 20 monsters that are piling on top of you and you're just hacking your way out of it, it's good. I like it.
I like hack and slashes. They're underrated. Sean. I am more of a first person shooter person, but hack and slash games, they're underrated.
Yeah,
I mean, it goes back to the arcade days with several hack and slash games that were really fun at the time. That I think it's a genre that is really underappreciated, and I'm hoping Diablo 4, if all goes well. I know it's being promoted more on the Xbox platform that is the PlayStation platform. We talked earlier about the Street Fighter
yeah,
6 being more promoted on the PlayStation platform, even though it's coming out on an Xbox platform. I want to go ahead and say that I think that Diablo 4 could really be a big hit, an under the radar hit, but I think it still will sell. It will not sell Zelda numbers, but
yeah.
I think it will be, especially because it's coming out to Games Pass day one. I really, though, think it will be something that a lot of people will really play and enjoy.
Yeah, I think so too. And Blue Magic, I'm right there with you. The love hate with the shooting games.
So am I. So am I,
Gosh,
especially as
gosh.
you're playing competitive multiplayer.
Yeah, I've honestly, I try so hard to be good at them, and I'm just not. I don't know if I just don't. I haven't figured out how to dial my controller in properly, or what the story is, but
I remember my
I'm
days,
bad.
years playing Gears of War multiplayer, Halo 2 multiplayer, and just trying to go ahead and see if I could rank up and I could try to where's the next match and just go into the next map. And yeah, those days were awesome. I still again will do it. Call of Duty though, if you're not up on Call of Duty, if you don't continuously play Call of Duty multiplayer, you'll find yourself far behind.
The exception there, I think, is probably the zombies in Call of Duty,
Yeah,
which you
well,
can
that's
get
but that's
into that.
co-op. That's more
Yeah,
co-op than
I guess
anything.
that's different. Yeah.
But getting to into a death match, to a regular death match,
Mm,
that's like you
yeah.
said, you don't want to be teabagged and talk smack to you by a 13-year-old.
Yeah, no, no, it's not a that's not a fun time.
No, but before we head on out, Diablo 4, your thoughts. Do you think this will be a success? Do you really think it'll be a success for Blizzard?
I think so, and I think that Blizzard is counting on it.
And we talked about that. You sent me an actual article or video on it, excuse me, a video on it that delves in more into the recent problems that Blizzard has. All the more reason that even though I've been different on the slate, I really think that Microsoft and Xbox should buy out Blizzard just because of all the issues that have gone on.
Yeah, and I'm hesitant to agree because I'm afraid that I'm going to have to buy an Xbox if I'm going to continue to play Diablo games, and that really hurts a piece of me. But
So you think
um,
Diablo 5 will only be exclusive on Xbox?
why wouldn't it be if the
Unless
sale
Diablo,
goes
well, I
through?
will tell you why. If Diablo 4 blows up,
Yeah,
then they will probably be forced to,
to keep
what
it
they
on all platforms.
yeah, like Minecraft and maybe Call of Duty. We don't know about
Yeah,
Call of Duty yet, 100% either which
yeah,
way. I said on the record I would make it exclusive Call of Duty because especially after Phil Spencer's comments, head of Xbox, saying, "Oh, that we're way behind in 3. We're not really into selling consoles." Well, Xbox, a Call of Duty exclusive would sell consoles. But you're right. If Diablo 4 blows up, then they may be hard pressed to go ahead and make it a single platform or Xbox and PC only. But there's a good chance Diablo 5 will be exclusive if the sale goes through.
yeah, and I imagine that it will, and it by the sounds of it, Blizzard as a company needs it. They need a they need an amputation. And I think that putting Microsoft in the spot where they're cutting out all of that bad stuff is probably the correct move.
One of these days, you and I got to go into a deep dive on Blizzard and see where it's gone wrong, and ask if it can be fixed, regardless of the sale of where it goes through or not to Microsoft.
Yeah.
Again, let's say it doesn't go through. They start looking at a lot of problems down the road. And that's something, again, that's another half-hour conversation we could have on Blizzard, because there's a lot of places I would suggest that they would go. And I know you would as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that actually would be a really good conversation for us to have. So we should do that.
You should do that indeed. Maybe we'll do that once you've had some time with Diablo 4 under your belt. And as this goes out to radio stations and podcast outlets worldwide, people getting the sneak peek on YouTube and Facebook and all that, but you are playing it. You
Yeah.
are playing it like a mad fool that you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
First one you get into, when you finally turn it on for the first time, officially, what are you playing as?
Ooh, do I go right to the druid, or do I try to pick up where I left off with my sorcerer? Because she was really cool. She really was. But I loved the oh man, I don't know. I'd probably go druid. I'm probably gonna do a druid first.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm sticking with a necromancer. I just, again, when I
And
get it back into it, but
and
yeah,
it's so funny because I refuse to play a druid in Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons. I will not do it. But something about them in Diablo was really exciting. So I don't know.
one last thing I want to hit everybody up on again before it goes off. Please see. I mean, we actually before we went on the show 2 hours ago on the super special, we talked about all the series that are being taken off the air for Disney Plus. A
Yes.
lot of their recent. I don't want to say misses. Well, in case of Willow, and there's some others as far as that the missed, National Treasure, and some others that have not been very good. They're taking those off the air in some cases. So one thing that they do before we go is you talked about Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is now available on Paramount Plus. Did you get a chance to check it out as of yet? Honor Among Thieves. It is really worth your watch. I really liked it. It's a very fun popcorn movie, as you would like to say.
Yeah. So as of when we're recording this, I found it on Paramount Plus. I put it on earlier this afternoon, and Robbie went to work. And I watched it up to the title screen, and then I felt really bad that I was watching the movie without Robbie. So, by the time this is sent out, I will have watched the whole movie. But I've watched the beginning of it. I liked how they told the backstory of how the characters landed where the movie picks up. I liked how that was done. I liked the acting that I saw. I thought the sets looked incredible. Yeah, if you haven't seen the Dungeons and Dragons movie, you should absolutely give it your time. And don't worry, you don't have to know a single thing about Dungeons and Dragons to sit down and
Exactly.
watch it. Yeah.
Absolutely. You don't have to know a thing. It's not
Nothing.
intimidating. And I will say, if you ever decide to get into tabletop RPGs, a great place to go to check out is what Melinda does with everything that she does for what she does for with the Basin on the Pop Culture Cosmos YouTube channel. There's also, what she's doing with Forbidden Lands, her stuff with Vampires and Vitae season 3 that's coming up that she does on her own channel, Vampires and Vitae, and of course her own other channel, Wizards and Wine. So that's a lot of great stuff to get into as far as if you're curious about tabletop RPGs, go ahead and do that. But you don't need to know any of that for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
Yeah, you don't need to know a thing. You don't need to know why seeing an owl bear on the big screen was a big deal. Doesn't matter.
Well, I do appreciate, Melinda, 2 hours of me. Well, we're spacing this out between episodes for those listening, but it's been 2 hours we're recording this because I'm doing this preparation because I'm going on vacay at some point in time soon. As you hear this, you'll be on Diablo.
Yeah.
I'll be just headed back as far as on the flight back coming from vacay. So any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
Enjoy your vacay first and foremost, and just a big thank you to everybody who joined us for the mega episode today. It was really cool. Blue Magic, Condor. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on all the other names.
They had Lifted. Lifted's a great part of the Lakers Fast Break. Yeah, absolutely. Endorphin.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Great crowd. Absolutely great
Yeah.
crowd. Truly appreciated. Condor says, both of you seem like great people. Wouldn't mind having you as my neighbors. I try to be a good neighbor. I try to make it, you know, if you're cool with me, I'm going to be cool with you. And I'm going to go out of my way to be cool with you as a neighbor.
Yeah.
Melinda,
Yeah.
I don't know. She probably comes out there. She's got the curlers on and the
Yeah.
bathrobes.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, no. What you would hear is myself and my husband Robbie having passionate arguments about Dungeons and Dragons or Vampire the Masquerade. It
See, they don't do that over bills. They don't do that over,
Yeah, nope.
why did you look at that girl,
Yeah,
or why
nope.
did you look at that guy, or
None of
why
that.
is your ex-boyfriend calling, et cetera, et
Nope.
cetera. No, what do
Nope.
you really have arguments about? Go ahead. You can
Dungeons
say
and
it.
Dragons,
Yeah,
tabletop
there you go.
RPG games. Yeah, that's
Yep,
what we argue about.
yep.
We're such dorks.
Dorks and nerds. You know what? Again, as I
Uh,
said on this show a long time ago, if you'd have called me that, throughout, I despised. I actually tried to hide away my nerddom from most people out there that knew me back in my teenage years, in my early 20s. Never wanted to be called a dork and a nerd. Now I think it's pretty much okay. I'm
yeah.
okay. I'm,
Well,
I'm beginning to embrace my darkness.
yeah, when I was 15, I was dressing up as a Klingon, so I think I've always embraced
You're a
mine.
nerd, lady. You're a nerd. So for Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise. It's been a long day in paradise. I don't even feel like throwing up pop culture at this point in time. I still feel like talking more, but
Yeah.
we're good for now. We're good
Okay.
for now, indeed. It's another beautiful day it's another beautiful day in pop culture right here in the PCC multiverse. We thank you for listening, and here's hoping you have yourself a great day. And for those waiting for Lakers fast break, yes, we will be having a Lakers fast break tonight. Sean has said definitively that he wants a Lakers fast break tonight.
Oh man.
Oh man, good thing I still have my voice. Puking pop culture. No, not yet. Not yet.
Getting there. Getting closer.
Yes. But don't get me started on the Lakers fast break, guys.